Everyone, welcome into another edition of our MLB DFS DraftKings Picks videos, this time for Monday, August 30th. I am your host, Justin Bales, joined by Ben Hostler. Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You and I just recorded an NFL podcast, first NFL podcast of the season. That's going to be dropping Monday afternoon. So we're on pod number 2, and I'm feeling good, actually. I felt really sick earlier. Now I'm like in prime form. Like it's not even a thing. I'm ready to talk about some baseball.
You were going through no NFL withdrawal type
Yeah,
thing,
that could have
and
been
now that
it.
we've
That could have
covered
been
the,
it.
the bold predictions. So Ben outlined that pretty well. We are coming out with a bold predictions podcast. It's already been recorded. It will be out tomorrow. I guess it'll actually be out later today. We're recording this the night before, so don't get too confused here. But what you're going to want to do is if you enjoy the content, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any videos that we put out. We put them out daily for MLB. Now that NFL is coming around, we're going to get a ton more going for that. It has been a very, very successful MLB season for us. I've caught fire once again personally, where I think throughout the last 4 slates, I've come in like the top 15 uh, of the slate, and that's in the SEs that I'm playing. I know that Ben cashed yesterday and has been playing very well. So a lot going on for DFS Karma in terms of winning in recent days. And I also want to say shout out to everyone that commented, liked the videos and everything as we gave away a free MLB month package on the Friday stream. We obviously at this very second aren't planning more giveaways for this very moment. But if you guys continue to engage with us in the videos, which is comments, liking it, subscribing to the channel, everything, we can definitely work something out where we keep giving away some free stuff on these videos. So on top of that, we'll answer all your questions and anything you need to know. So I think that is a pretty quick intro. As always, dfskarma.com is where you can find all of our stuff. Chatdfs.com if you want to get into our free Discord. And I do want to mention Jock Market, an app that essentially mixes the stock market with fantasy. It has been very friendly to the whole Karma crew. We've had plenty of success on it, and we're giving away free advice in our Discord. Again, chatdfs.com. So come join us there. Use promo code Karma when you download the app to get a free $50 when you deposit. So a lot going on, but we do have. I actually didn't even check how big of a slate this is. I think it's 9 games, right?
Yeah, 9 games.
9 game slate, a lot of good pitching, a lot of different ways where like the really good pitchers are also in good matchups to the point where you're gonna have to kind of narrow your pool down a bit and pick the top guys that you like. But Ben, why don't you start us off at pitcher?
Yeah, so that was a good intro. You guys have been turning up in the comments, so we definitely appreciate that. Keep it up. Bells and I have said before, we really like to go in there and answer you guys' questions in the YouTube comments. You guys are significantly nicer than the people on Twitter, so yeah, keep commenting. We appreciate it. But yeah, there's some good pitchers on this for it being a 9 game slate. Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler, Robbie Ray, Julio Urias, Luis Garcia, all above 9K on DraftKings. If we pulling up the numbers here for the last month, you'll see highest strikeout rate on the slate, Robbie Ray, 33%, Luis Garcia right behind him at 27. So that's a decent gap if you're talking number 1 to number 2 there, around 5%. Corbin Burns down there at 27%, still solid, but he has kind of been inconsistent a little bit since the whole sticky stuff situation
Yep.
with the baseballs. And then Zach Wheeler right there at 27%, as well as Urias at 27%. So a bunch of good pitchers here. Robbie Ray is going to be number 1 for me once again. You and I did a pod last week where it was a really tough pitching slate. A lot of these same guys were throwing, and it was kind of like deciding who we wanted to use. And I remember Robbie Ray was against the White Sox. I said he was the biggest boom bust matchup on that slate. Ended up using him, and he just crushed. Kind of what he's been doing all season. He's been arguably, I mean, he's literally been maybe like the best pitcher in the AL. Like, it's that crazy. The way he's pitched, like the last couple weeks, have really solidified that. He's definitely up there. So I think you're going to go right back to him. The Orioles have been decent against lefties all season, but they do have strikeouts in their lineup, and I just don't care about the matchup at this point with how well he's been throwing. So he is number one for me on this slate. After that, I'm probably going to go double spend again with all of these high price guys. Luis Garcia seems to be a guy that continually goes lower owned in DFS because of the pitch count, but good matchup against Seattle here, like his price point. So I'm going to consider him. As far as the top two between Burns and Wheeler, I think Wheeler has the better matchup against Washington. That's probably where I would side between those two as of right now. But we know that Burns is going to project well with how well he's thrown for the entirety of the season.
Yep, absolutely. I think you outlined that pretty well. I think Robbie Ray, Luis Garcia are probably the two that I lean towards. Zach Wheeler over Burns for me as well, especially for 200 cheaper. And then the only other pitcher that I honestly feel like I'm even considering on the slate for under 9K is Herman Marquez at 8,500, obviously against Texas. And I mean, not throwing in Coors. He has been better in Colorado this season, but who really cares? He's just throwing at an extremely high level. And because half of his games are in Coors, it always keeps his price tag down. So I think 8,500 is too cheap for him, but I'm basically looking at 9K or above or Marquez. I don't know if there's any other pitchers that you're looking at here.
No, the mid tier to low tier is really bad at first glance here on Sunday night. So that's why I said I was going to really focus on that double spend up. I do think Marquez is definitely in the pool of guys I would be considering, though. Very similar numbers to Wheeler and even Burns over the last month. Similar numbers to them, good matchup against Texas. So I definitely think he's in the pool as well. I agree with that.
Yep, and we can move on to stacks right now. It's still pretty early in my research since it's still the night before, but a few stacks that kind of stand out. One, you have San Diego in Arizona. They get a good matchup against Tyler Gilbert, who I'm not a massive fan of. So I do think that San Diego's in a good spot. Boston, I don't love that they're playing in Tampa Bay, but I do like the matchup against Luis Patino, who I don't believe is overly good. And then you have the Yankees against Jose Quintana, who has thrown extremely well out of the bullpen, but has not thrown well as a starter. And it doesn't really look like he's going to go overly deep into this game after throwing only 2 innings in his last, I believe, start, which was against Baltimore. So I do think that the New York Yankees are in a good spot. And then the final option that I would say, and probably my number one stack, will be the Los Angeles Dodgers against Drew Smyly. Who are you looking at, though?
Yeah, definitely think Yankees, Dodgers, like those are going to be great stacks. Have really no arguments with that. We also get the Angels against Haney, so it looks like Kluber is going to open. Haney's going to come in after him. So the right-handed power bats on the Angels are going to stick out to me. Guys like Justin Upton are underpriced per usual. So I could see going there. One that really sticks out to me is the Rays. They've been red hot. We've been stacking the Rays. I mean, we've been stacking anyone that's up against the Orioles, right? But over the weekend, the Rays were against the Orioles, so we played quite a bit of Rays Saturday, Sunday. Good matchup against Pivetta. Numbers aren't overly bad for the last month, but we know the story with Nick Pivetta, and we know that the Rays have a really good offense, and they've kind of been firing on all cylinders at the moment. So I do think the Rays would be at the top of my board. If I wanted to throw one more in there, it would probably be the Brewers against Johnny Cueto. Johnny Cueto is not a good pitcher. I don't care if he's priced at 7,700 on DraftKings. Over the last 30 days, 5.56 Sierra, 12% walks. You and I talk about it all the time, but when you get walk rates like that, that's when we like to focus on the full stack because it's tough to pick singular bats out when there's a concern that they could just walk 2 or 3 times. So I think for like a lower owned one, the Brewers full stack is definitely on my board for Monday.
Yep, I think you nailed that. We can move to position by position. Starting at catcher, I mean, on the slate, there's a lot of good spots for hitters. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go. I don't want to give out, just a ridiculous amount of plays or anything. So I'll kind of list the guys that really, really stand out to me that I'm thinking about. And if there's anyone that you have questions about or anything, leave it in the comments. Ben and I can both answer it. But a few catchers that stand out. If you're spending up, I think that Will Smith is the number one option. I do think that you can make a case for Gary Sanchez, but they're pretty close in price tag. Smith's only 400 more, and I do prefer him. Dropping down a little, Max Stassi, assuming he's starting, is only 3,700. I know he hasn't been playing overly well, but very few catchers have the same upside as him, and obviously he gets a matchup against Haney, who struggles with home runs. And then if you need to save some salary, Austin Nola at 3,100. The price tag continues to be pretty ridiculous. And obviously, I already talked about I like San Diego in the matchup against Gilbert. So I do think that Nola is more or less just entirely too cheap, even though he hasn't been playing at the highest level.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. Given that I'm probably going to be once again spending up for two pitchers, I'm not going to have a ton of money here, so it might be contingent on lineups coming out. But three guys in the 3K tier that stuck out to me were Max Stassi, Austin Nola, and Dalton Varsho. You covered Stassi and Nola pretty well. Nola has been kind of chalky the last couple slates, so I'm assuming that will be the case again on Monday. Varsho, Paddock has always struggled against lefties. From what we saw from him this season, he still hadn't really figured them out, and he's under 4K. I like the way he's been performing at the plate recently, so I do like him, but Nola's probably going to be the cash game play if I had to guess on Sunday night.
Yeah, that pretty much seems like the case to me too. Moving on to first base, this is an interesting position. I think I'm pretty intrigued to see where you're going here.
Yeah. Again, I don't see like you can always spend up on Vlad, but that price, 6,200. Not sure if that's going to make the cash game pool. For me on Monday, top play for me has to be Nelson Cruz. It's weird to see him at first, but I can just tell that I'm really gonna like the Rays on Monday. So I think he's probably gonna be my favorite.
Yeah, I think he's a great play. I think at 4,800, Max Muncy is a really good play, even though it's a lefty-lefty matchup. He's performed well against lefties. I honestly 100% thought that your play was going to be Luke Voit at 3,300 because that price tag is ridiculous.
Yeah, I played Luke Voigt quite a bit last week. Just too cheap again. I'm sure he will be decently chalky. I did just pull up batted ball numbers, so literally right as you were talking about Max Muncy, I noticed that over the last 14 days, highest fly ball rate in baseball at 65%, couples it with a 43% hard hit rate. So been really good at the plate. Really unlucky with BABIP as well, 0.087 BABIP over those 14 days. So maybe Max Muncy is the top play, and people hate to use him lefty, but I have never been concerned with that.
Yeah, he's been really good against lefties, and Drew Smiley's not someone that I'm overly concerned with or anything.
Yeah.
Moving to second base, I think you're spending up here. The top two options, I guess really there's three options that really stand out above the rest. Going just from the most expensive to the least expensive of those three are going to be Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, and Brandon Lowe. I think Lau is probably my favorite, followed by Mookie, followed by Turner. If you're not using any of those three, I think the lowest you probably want to drop is 4,200 with Josh Rojas. But I would more or less do whatever it takes to at least get to Lau at 5,000 because it's just such a good spot. He's been playing so well. And then Betts at 5,200. I don't really care about recent form. That's way too cheap for him, especially in a matchup against a bad left-handed pitcher, right?
Yeah. So I'm not trying to off topic here, but we can try to first base. You can add Rowdy Tellez under 3K. I just want to mention that that we can add him. But yeah, Brandon Lowe, number one play for me at second base. And DJ LeMahieu's too cheap as well. He's under 4K. I don't mind that in all formats. Might consider him in cash, but the Rays lefties in specific are probably going to be the people that I'm really trying to build around. So talk about Brandon Lau, Austin Meadows. Probably want to get those guys in my lineup. So Lau's my number one, but if you're saving, DJ LeMahieu's too cheap.
Yep, I will agree with that. Moving to third base. Man, I feel like I know where we want to go here, but who are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean top play obviously Rafael Devers. You talk about him every podcast. Homer again on Sunday. Certainly the number one play there if you have the salary. Justin Turner is under 5K against a extreme fly ball left-handed pitcher, so you can certainly consider him in all formats. Kyle Seager is always worth a one-off, even though I don't really want to pick on Garcia. If you're not using Garcia, you can use Seager as a one-off. As far as like cheaper guys, no one really sticks out to me other than my boy Rougned Odor. People don't play him lefty-lefty, but I've kind of done that quite a few times this season, and it's worked out. So if we like the Yankees, that could be a way to get some lower-owned Yankees exposure. And I actually had, I don't know if I can find it. I'm going to check real quick. I had a very interesting Odor stat. Career home runs and age. I don't know who sent this tweet out. But Rougned Odor, 161 home runs at age 27. No one else is like close to him. Like Lindor, 27 years old, 149, right? Aaron Judge, 29, 146. Rougned Odor, we put some respect on Rougned Odor's name.
Rougned Odor. I like him. I think you can add Manny Machado at 4,800. That's a little too cheap for him in this type of matchup. And then, oh man, am I kicking myself? Joey Wendell is 3,600. Obviously gets the good matchup against Nick Pivetta. Wendell, so today, we're recording this on Sunday. I scored like 180 fantasy points or something. Really good day for the core. And I swapped Joey Wendell and his 41 fantasy points out right before lock to play Josh Donaldson, who scored like 6.
Yeah, that's a tough scene. Hate when that happens. I don't know if you saw, but Rube, who is a fellow Karma analyst, hasn't been on any baseball content at the moment, but he'll be here for football and basketball. He actually won over 20K on FanDuel today, thanks to Joey Wendell. So maybe maybe you had to do that so that he had that performance for him. I don't know how that works in the universe, but maybe it had to happen.
I had to pull him for Josh Donaldson so Rube could pay him 20K.
Sometimes that's how it is, I guess.
Hey, what are you gonna do? But moving to shortstop, I guess at this point, honestly, it's just really you're playing Wander Franco if you can. The dude is on absolute fire. He's only 5,000, which isn't cheap, but it's cheap enough. If you can get up to Xander Bogaerts, feel free. If you want to play someone like Bo Bichette, 100% fine. Corey Seager, even though it's lefty-lefty, I'm 100% okay with. And then the guy that just kind of sticks out as too cheap is Willy Adames. He continues to play well for Milwaukee. His price is in the low 4s, though. As you mentioned earlier, the matchup against Cueto isn't something that really we're going to be scared off of or anything. So I do feel like he's still a really, really good play. But is there anyone else at shortstop that you're looking at or you really want to consider tonight?
No, you could add someone like Trevor Story as a one-off. I know he's not in cores, but you always can consider him. It's just I typically don't play enough lineups to get that far. But you covered the position pretty well. I think as of Sunday night, Willy Adames is the clear cash game play at that price tag, and he's going to project well. I already know, so that's probably someone that I'll be building around on Monday.
So moving to our final position, the outfield. I guess let's just go 5,000 and above. Who are you looking at there?
Yeah, I think Yordan Alvarez and then the Yankees guys stick out to me for top plays. Obviously, the Yankees are always great against lefties when you think of Judge, Stanton, but Joey Gallo's underrated against left-handed pitchers, and he still has that elite batted ball profile over the last 2 weeks. 50% fly balls, around 37, 38% hard hits. I pointed that out. I think it was whatever day last week, Thursday, Friday. He did hit a home run that day. So I think Yankees and Jordan Alvarez are my top spend ups here.
I like all of them. I'll add in Kyle Schwarber at 5,300, and then Mookie Betts we already talked about at 52. Kettle Marte at 51. I also like. And then as you drop down more, I mean, there's just some really good options. You can use like Austin Meadows against Pavetta, Tommy Pham against the left-handed pitching. I have no problems with that. Josh Rojas, we already talked about. Chris Taylor, Randy Arozarena has been playing well enough to be used in all leagues. Kyle Tucker's up to 4K. I mean, we could probably just go on and on. Who else are you looking at kind of in the mid tier or as a salary relief option on the slate?
Yeah, Meadows' price is a joke. That's a lock in all formats probably at that price tag. He's going to be really chalky. Agree that some of those Astros guys are way too cheap, so I can get with you on that, especially Tucker. I pointed him out earlier, but Justin Upton's under 3K. I think that's a really good play. I'm sure I don't know if he'll be chalky, but he actually is projected pretty well for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we know. I don't know how long Kluber's going to pitch, if it's just one inning. I haven't dug into that yet, but I know Haney's coming in after, so I actually think Upton is probably my favorite cheap guy.
Yep, I agree with that. I think, assuming he's in the lineup, Jace Peterson is a fine play for cheap. David Peralta's been playing well. He's only 2,800. Lorenzo Cain, I know he's not getting a lefty, but he's 2,500, and it's not like Cueto's really an overly dominant pitcher or anything. So a lot of cheap options on the slate as well. We don't want to overload you with too many. So if you have any questions about anyone, again, leave it in the comments. Ben and I will answer as soon as we see it. But I believe we are on to the point where we make home run calls. Who do you have?
Yeah, this is the best part of the podcast here when we give out these home run calls. I am actually going to take. I'm going to take Rowdy Tellez for mine. Stick with my Brewers.
Rowdy Tellez, I like that. I'm going with the lefty. Max Muncy is taken. Drew Smiley yard. I'm not even talking potential bullpen home run. I'm talking this one is going straight off of Smiley.
That is a good call. I like that one a lot.
But that is all we have for you guys today. Again, if you enjoy the video, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Comment anything that you would like. If you want to let us know how fantastic of a job we did, we always appreciate that. But again, if you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, you'll be getting when our NFL videos and everything come out. Until then, good luck. You can pick up a package at dfskarma.com. We have a lot of MLB left, and we are going pretty hard to end the season as we've really, really caught fire in recent games. So hopefully we see you all in the premium Discord, and good luck tonight.